Company down.
Yeah, see how many protesters we get this time. Last year we had one.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Margaret Downey, and I am the founder and president of the Freethought Society. Welcome. Welcome to the Human Tree of Knowledge event. And thank you for attending this event, and thanks for posing for the pictures with the book covers of your choice in your hand. It's great to see you all here to demonstrate that we freethinkers are indeed valuable members of our community. While our symbol, the Tree of Knowledge, has been banned from the holiday display area here in the borough of Westchester, Pennsylvania, your participation today makes it clear that we will not remain a silent and invisible minority. You know, there are some citizens of Westchester who hope, and dare I say, have even prayed, that we will simply go away, but we will remain strong and determined to take a stand for reason, science, reading, and learning. We will not go away. Say it with me. We will not go away, and we will not remain silent. Say it with me. We will not remain silent. Say it again. Come on, yell it out. We will not remain silent. Today, all of us are taking a stand against being treated like second-class citizens. This year, the Chester County Commissioner, Kathy Cozzone, tried to stop Commissioners Terrence Farrell and Ryan Costello from claiming this plot of taxpayer land as a place to endorse a belief in God. When Resolution 5810 was passed in 2010, only Commissioner Kathy Cozzone objected to the wording, which was used to uproot our tree of knowledge that we planted for 3 years in a row. And just 2 days ago, Commissioner Kathy Cozzone, so please remember her name as she is a courageous legislator, she bravely put forward a motion to abolish Resolution 5810. As most of you know here today, Commissioner Kathy Cozzone's motion was not seconded and thus defeated. We thought that perhaps Commissioner Terrence Farrell could be swayed to see our point of view, since his official Republican website proudly points out that he is the first African American to hold the position of commissioner. We reasoned that he might be able to remember how his ancestors fought for their civil rights and how they also demanded equality, respect, and a place at the table. After all, that is exactly what we freethinkers are asking for when we ask to have our symbol displayed on the grounds of the Chester County Courthouse. But Commissioner Terrence Farrell was not listening. And I want you to please remember his name, because he is a man of great possibilities, if only he would open his heart and his mind to the diversity of this community. Commissioner Farrell was not moved when Dr. Glenn Love provided insight into the secular Jewish community and talked about the value of allowing the Tree of Knowledge so that his fellow secular Jews could display books that are important to him or to them. Commissioner Farrell also turned a deaf ear to Dr. Sam Ilagavan's testimony that the non-theist Indian community endorses the Tree of Knowledge. The non-theist Indian community desires to display their books on the Tree of Knowledge, books that have enlightened many in India and here in the United States. Commissioner Farrell was not swayed by David Tamayo, who testified on behalf of Hispanic American freethinkers. David Tamayo presented facts and statistics about the quickly growing Hispanic non-theist community, but Commissioner Farrell was not impressed. Commissioner Farrell received hundreds of emails, phone calls, and heard from freethinkers who attended the November 29th Sunshine Meeting. And the Freethought Society thanks Emily Anthony, Bob Hodes, Deb Hodes, and Tom Shopmiller for speaking out in support of the Tree of Knowledge at the November 29th Commissioner's Sunshine Meeting. After all this, Commissioner Farrell would not second the resolution to abolish Resolution 5810 and left in place a policy that endorses, respects, and recognizes only the Jewish and Christian religion. I say, shame on you, Commissioner Farrell, and if you agree with me, shout it out with me. Shame on you, Commissioner Farrell. The secular community is not going to be satisfied with the placement of a plastic Santa. Our mission and vision for the world is not represented by plastic candy canes and a wire choo-choo train. We want our symbols on the grounds of this courthouse. We want our tree of knowledge. The book ornaments that you and I have lovingly made over the years convey who we are and what is important to us. Our book ornaments advocate learning about history, philosophy, and science. When we grace the branches of the Tree of Knowledge with biographies and autobiographies of our real-life heroes, we honor the brave, the honest, and the intelligent. In this public forum, the religious community is given an opportunity like no other. The religious community can bring their families to visit a winter holiday site, showing them that their religious beliefs are more important than anyone else's. They tell their stories, their version of the truth, and they honor their God, all on government grounds. Well, we also want to share our stories, our knowledge, and we want to share our information about the real-life people that we admire. We want to do so equally with the religious community, not just stand here for a few hours and form a temporary makeshift display. We want our friends, co-workers, neighbors, and our family to know that we are a part of this community. The Tree of Knowledge promotes learning, reading, and questioning. Here's a question for you. What I ask is wrong with that? When the commissioners allow use of public space with only the religious community, they expressed approval of segregation and discrimination. The religious displays give a nod of approval and acceptance to the religious community, while the non-theist community is ignored, demeaned, and demonized. The duty of public officials is to promote harmony, brotherhood, and peace within the community. But these grounds are now only about we, the commissioners, not about we, the people. Well, we're not going to shut up. We are going to keep demanding a place at the table. We are developing a plan of action, but we need your help in the form of activism and donations. So please sign up to receive a complimentary newsletter. It comes to you as an email subscription so that you can be directly involved in our action plan. Your voices, your participation, and your financial help will keep this and many more separation of religion and government issues in the public eye. Speak up now and stay involved for the rest of your lives. Remember that if you say nothing and you do nothing, you will become nothing. And now I invite everyone who would like to convey their sentiments to introduce themselves and either speak about this issue or tell us why you selected the book ornament that you are holding. We want to know who you are, why you were compelled to be here, and why the pursuit of knowledge is important to you. And
Thank you, Margaret, for an inspiring speech. Well, here we are again, forming a human tree of knowledge because 2 out of 3 of the commissioners of Chester County refused to let the secular community put up a holiday symbol of our choosing, a real tree of knowledge. There are those who say that in the scheme of things, this is not a big deal. We should get over it, move on, and take on bigger and more important goals. Those who say that make a good point, actually. There are so many pressing issues that need attention. To mention just a few, the growing income disparities whereby so many hardworking people are struggling to get by, the declining quality of so many of our public schools, and even with the passage of Obamacare, many don't have access to adequate health care. So why are we here when we could be staffing food kitchen or escorting women who need health services to medical clinics besieged by anti-choice protesters? Because we can't do everything that needs to be done. Today, we are on the cutting edge of the issue of separation of religion and government. We're out here on the street where the rubber meets the road, quite literally. If we don't stand up for our constitutional rights, who will? In denying our putting up a tree of knowledge, the county commissioners conform to what is apparently the minimum legal requirements established in 1984 by the Supreme Court decision in Lynch versus Donnelly, whereby religious displays on public grounds are permitted as long as they are balanced by the inclusion of a secular display. For 3 years, in 2007, 2008, and 2009, local secular residents were permitted to place the Tree of Knowledge on the lawn here of the Chester County Courthouse, in the area displayed for the other winter displays. In 2010 and 11, and again this year, permission to place a Tree of Knowledge among the winter holiday displays has been denied. Instead, the secular inclusion requirement will be fulfilled with a plastic Santa Claus, a wire-lit choo-choo train, and plastic candy canes. Again, while this collection is apparently sufficient to satisfy minimum legal obligations of Lynch versus Donnelly, childish symbols do not at all satisfy the secular community. Do they?
no,
No, I don't think so. No. There's ample space on the grounds of the Chester County Courthouse for the Tree of Knowledge, since it takes up much less room than the Santa, choo-choo train, and candy canes. We see no good reason for the Tree of Knowledge to be banned from the area and replaced with those cute but meaningless displays. Why, after 3 years of successful, peaceful Tree of Knowledge displays, was permission revoked? The commissioners have not responded to our requests for an explanation, but it seems that the decision was taken in response to complaints of some residents and members of the clergy. Why would they object? Are they afraid that adherents of religious doctrine might be seduced away from their faith by the siren song of a rational worldview?
Good.
If so, this is an unfair reason to discriminate against the non-theist minority. Religious communities are permitted to select and install symbols of their choosing. The secular community simply requests the same opportunity, nothing more. The Tree of Knowledge is not a contradiction to or in competition with religious sensitivities. Our symbol promotes knowledge, education, reading, and exposure to a wide range of ideas. Who opposes learning and expanding one's horizons? We're not trying to take down their symbols. Quite the opposite. We support more inclusion. Let's have a Kwanzaa menorah, an oil lamp for the Hindu holiday of Diwali, a noodly tree for the Pastafarians, and more. We are not asking for special treatment. We just want the Tree of Knowledge to join the other holiday symbols on these public courthouse grounds. We've been turned down again this year, but we're on the right side of history. We will continue to explore our legal options, and we will be here again in 2013, and as long as it takes.
Yes! Woo, Glenn! Woo!
Very good to see you.
I'm Rob Porter. I'm a doctor from Chadds Ford and a writer. And I picked two books out here. One is The Portable Atheist by Christopher Hitchens. And amazing, this is not just his writing. This is a collection of free-thinking writing throughout the centuries, which shows that we are not the first to do this. We are not the only free thinkers. They've been present throughout society. They've been discriminated against and belittled, but they kept writing. The more important one to me, though, is this one. It's Richard Dawkins, one of Richard Dawkins' many books, The Ancestor's Tale. I picked this because, we're here, the tree of knowledge. Knowledge is what everyone has sought throughout the ages. I mean, even 10,000 years ago, people would wonder, why was there thunder? Why did my baby get sick? Why, this idiot, the chief, and not me? We tried to explain things, and for many years, the answer was, well, a witch cast a spell on the baby. Okay, the gods are in the heavens, and they're angry with us. They were magical explanations. And these were fine for many thousands of years until we were able to develop science and knowledge. And the interesting thing to me has always been whenever we have obtained knowledge about these things, about why there is thunder, about why disease occurs, why the sun is bright, why it moves through the sky, every single time we have truly found an answer to that, the answer has never been magic. Okay, it's always been a rational reason. So the question is, why do we expect the things we don't understand yet should have magical explanations? And of course, they won't. They won't have magical explanations. So knowledge is the perfect representative for what we stand for, is knowledge and not superstition.
This is Scott Ploon, and I want to follow up on the theme of knowledge. It's been said that we're something of Scrooges because we're like not wanting to join in the Christmas holiday. But actually, the tree has been the symbol of the winter solstice before Christianity became part of the Roman Empire, or was accepted by and promulgated by the Roman Empire. So, and knowledge is also associated with light, which is associated with the winter solstice, which marks the time when the days start to become longer and we get more and more light for 6 more months. And so, and we're not Scrooges also because we have good news. There is no hell. No one suffers forever. We don't have to worry about anybody that's going to be burning in some eternal torment. And it's good news. It's not true. And
important knowledge.
There's much to celebrate, and knowledge is something that gives life and gives capability. It gives understanding. And
why did you pick that book?
And first, The End of Faith, Sam Harris. It's very blunt. You start the book out and it brings you to reality real quick, and like it reminds you that faith isn't all good. Sometimes it can be misguiding. It can definitely has a poor history in a history of many religions, and the new atheism, which it's more assertive than the old atheism, at least in theory, even though there were some assertive atheists before that, but definitely crystallized the idea of being assertive and not believing in traditional religion anyway. There's plenty of things to believe in without religion. Knowledge, science, love, people.
Nature.
Yeah, each other.
Thank you, Scotty.
My name is Stax Rosh, and I picked out a couple of books here today. Misquoting Jesus and The Year of Living Biblically. And both books emphasize the idea that people shouldn't take the Bible so literally. This one disproves that the Bible is what we think it is, and this one just takes a satirical look at the Bible. And this one, he's very funny. People should check it out, definitely. I do want to say that the commissioners chose to push us out of the public square again. And they think that they can do this because they have a choo-choo train and some toys, and that represents non-belief. But it doesn't. And if they're going to pick and choose what ornaments or what displays they're going to own, then they have to take ownership of everyone. They cannot decide what religions or viewpoints should be in the public square and what cannot. That's where they overstep their bounds. Just as speaking out in silent protest is considered is protected under free speech, non-belief is considered belief in that same sense, in the protective sense. And so we have just as much right to be heard with our viewpoints. And they cry that, oh, it offends people. Well, maybe their religious views offend us. But we're okay with it because it's a free country and we support free thought. But when they tell us that we're going to go to hell and be tortured forever and ever, and don't expect that to be offensive, and that's really what Jesus is all about, right? According to many religious people, not everyone, mind you, but many. I think we have a right to say, look, we are offended by that, but that's okay. You can have your creche. Just we want an equal spot to say that your ideas, we're going to criticize your ideas because you're putting them in the public square. And those are the ideas you want to put forward, well, we're going to question those ideas. And we're not trying to be offensive. We're just saying, prove what you're putting out there. Thank you.
Good job.
So we have some people that just joined us, and I'm so happy to see some friends here, and we hope you'll join us for dinner. We took a picture already, but we're going to pose for another one. But I want to tell you real quickly, my dear friend Laura is here, and why don't you just wave to everybody? Yeah. She's a little shy about public speaking, but I want to tell you that last year she told me that she wanted to put a tree of knowledge at her facility. She lives in an adult facility that's beautiful. It's called Anne's Choice. Absolutely gorgeous accommodations for the adult community. And they always put a creche and a menorah up in their lobby. So Laura said, you know, I want a tree of knowledge in the lobby. So I delivered a tree of knowledge to her at an event, and she took it to her place of residence, put it in the lobby. Oh yes, and she did get permission, by the way. She followed the rules. So she went on a little mini vacation and came back to discover that her tree of knowledge was thrown into a closet with all the ornaments squashed, all the bow on the top was squashed, it was all in a mess. And when she got back, she was furious, and she said, you know, I want my tree of knowledge back, just like we're doing today. Well, this year, Laura went through the rules again, submitted an application to put her tree of knowledge up at the same location in the lobby, and she was flatly denied, refused the opportunity to be equally represented at a place that is supposed to be welcoming to all religions and non-religions. And I have to give Laura credit for something else. She started a group right there, a Freethought group, and I had the pleasure of speaking to her last week. Oh, it wasn't started by you? Oh, it was there. Okay. Well, she is actively involved, and we're very proud of her and her membership with us, and we want to make sure that everybody gets to know her. You're coming to dinner, Laura? Good. Because we're not going to sit still with this denial of her application. There's something else we can do, and we're going to do it, whether it's letter writing campaign or an actual filing with the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. We'll get it done. We're going to figure it out. And that's what I want to express to all of you. If you want a tree of knowledge anywhere, you have the right to put it up. Of course, you have the right to put up a tree of knowledge in your home, and I will lend you any of the ornaments that you have in this box, these 3 boxes. By the way, if you haven't picked out your ornament yet, please come over to the boxes and pick out 2 ornaments that mean something to you. And if you'd like to stay for the picture, and I think you spoke last year, would you like to say something again this year with your books? So we want to get one more picture before we start singing our songs. I'm going to be passing out song books, and we'll have music. We want people to know that non-theists like to have fun. We have our own traditions, and we have our own way of celebrating the season, and that's why we want to be a fabric of this community, in the fabric of this community. It means a lot to us to be recognized as citizens and valuable members of the community. So I'm going to open the floor to anyone else who would like to speak. Okay, well, let me, Bill. Here's another dear friend of mine from Washington, D.C. area, Bill Creasy. He's been a big supporter of ours for several years. Bill?
Thanks, Margaret. This is a great effort. I really admire how much effort Margaret puts into this. I'm Bill Creasy. I'm representing the Washington area Secular Humanists. We're kind of the sister organization further south in Maryland, Virginia, D.C. And again, I think the Tree of Knowledge is a great idea, and everybody should have one, and I hope it really catches on. The 2 books I picked are Transcendental Temptation by Paul Kurtz. Paul Kurtz, of course, recently died a month or 2 ago. He is basically one of the founders of secular humanism and was the president of both the American Humanist Association and the Center for Inquiry. So he's done a great amount of work towards encouraging people to be secular humanists. And the other book is by Daniel Dennett, Breaking the Spell. I actually just saw a lecture by Dennett on Wednesday, and he gave a very good explanation for why people can have free will but without a supernatural cause of it. So I think this is a very important effort that he's doing to show that human nature is not based on supernaturalism, it's based on just people trying to get along with each other. And I'm glad to see everybody here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bill. Woo-hoo.
I'm Dave. I live in Westchester, so I'm really excited to be here. I'd like to point out that what we want to put on the tree is literature, and literature is a really rich source of knowledge. And something that I read in Carl Sagan's Demon Haunted World recently that really struck me was the chapter of the name of the book called The Demon Haunted World. And it explained that there was a time in the world where everyone believed in demons. Demons were another type of animal that kind of relayed information between God and people. And everyone universally believed in this. And there was a time in history where people started believing that these weren't neutral, or some were good or some were bad. Eventually they started believing that demons were all intrinsically evil. And the thing that really struck me is that science in Latin means knowledge, whereas knowledge in Greek means demon. So I think you guys should kind of think about that.
Thank you, Dave. Woo!
Hi, my name is Wayne. I live in Westchester. I picked up the books, The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. I think everybody knows about this book, but I just wanted to say that when people doubt evolution, they think that how is it possible that we being so perfect, like we can eat just the natural grown things and survive, and we can control our body temperatures, we can fight diseases, and like how is that possible? And they don't realize that in fact if we were designed that wouldn't be possible. Look at all the gadgets, equipment that we use, machineries, how they fail unrepairably, and they require a very specific conditions to work on. They are not resilient. They don't change. Whereas it is actually counterintuitive that life could have been designed, because if it has been designed, it wouldn't be the way it is. It wouldn't be that resilient. The second book I picked is Carl Sagan's Contact. Even though there were a lot of anomalies in the book, but the basic concept that there are aliens out there is very important, because the latest research that there are as many planets out there as many stars are, so that puts the number to something around 100 billion just in our galaxy. And considering that, just the possibility of alien life increases exponentially as thought earlier, and I seriously hope that in next 10 years we might have a clue that there is some alien life out there. And again, not to forget to mention about the exploration of Mars. Curiosity rover found some interesting remnants of organic material in the soil. So there's a possibility that there was life before, but they can't put the finger right now. And again, the moons of Saturn. So we never know. There might be alien life right here in our own solar system, but it's very certainly in our galaxy. Another book I wanted to mention, which I couldn't find in the box, is by Lawrence Cross. What's the name of the book?
Universe from Nothing.
Universe from Nothing, exactly. And you can actually watch his lecture. It's like an hour, 30 minutes lecture on YouTube, and he actually does say very convincingly that it is possible that matter could have come from nothing, because matter is nothing but made up of particles, and particles are made up of subatomic particles, which are nothing but packets of energy. And you can have packets of energy both ways, positive energy and negative. Not the negative energy in the spiritual sense, like the really negation of it. And so you can actually have particles from nothing, and once you have the particles from nothing, they can collect together and make atomic particles, and atomic particles into atoms and molecules and even life. So it is theoretically possible that everything could come from nothing. Thank you.
Any more commentary from anyone? Well, then I'll just tell you. Anyone at all? Okay. I'll tell you the books I chose from the box. This is The Tree of Knowledge, and it's the story of our efforts to get the Tree of Knowledge on the grounds of the Chester County Courthouse. It's available through the internet, and this beautiful cover was designed by the Freethought Society's Vice President Carol Roper, who could not be here today but sends her regards. And then the other book I chose was Thomas Paine's The Age of Reason, and I chose this because it was one of the first books I read that actually made sense to me about biblical claims that I had been taught as a child. So I would advise people to read The Age of Reason. It's kind of an antique writing, but it makes so much sense. And I became a Thomas Paine expert. So you'll never know how you can be inspired by just opening a book and seeing what the author was thinking and how they so eloquently can write these thoughts on paper. So we're going to pose for another picture. If each person has 2 book covers, we'll invite you to stand on the steps to form a human tree of knowledge. We'll take a few more pictures. There's cookies and water up here, and then we're going to sing a few songs and go to happy hour at Kildare's. So please get your books and come on to the steps.
No, the timer's going, so we're photographing. Do you want to say something?
Oh, sure. Everybody said, "You want the tree of knowledge back."
Just keep hitting that button on the top.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. We want the tree of knowledge back. Shame on you.
The still camera's the button on the top. Just keep hitting it. Bang, bang, bang.
I've heard about your hero, Joshua, but his accomplishments are not so great. Because there's none like Thomas Jefferson and the wall between church and state. We got to fight the battle of church and state, church and state, church and state. We got church and state, or the wall will come a-tumbling down. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Digedagen sind frei, no person can deny. Digedagen sind frei.
But don't expect me to think just like you.
I know wrong from right,
And my life.
This is the atheist orgies we hear about. You know, I've been around the atheist community for a long time.
that sacred passion, that divine swoon. We are less than beasts, but with love, earth is heaven, and we are gods. Thank you for coming, everyone. Really appreciate your support. Give yourselves a hand.
Yay!
Thank you.